Hi, this is Bishop Sandra Steiner Ball, resident bishop of the West Virginia Episcopal area, and I want to take a few moments to summarize the Connectional Conference Plan. The Connectional Conference Plan is probably the most complex. We believe it's the only plan that needs constitutional amendments in order to be fulfilled. Constitutional amendments require a longer process in the life of the church because it doesn't just involve the decision and discernment and vote of the General Conference, but it involves, if it should pass, if a vote on a constitutional amendment should pass the General Conference, then that particular decision has to go to all of our annual conferences globally for vote. And there's a process by which an aggregate vote of all the annual conferences will determine actually whether or not that particular decision passes and is put in place. So the Connectional Conference Plan has a longer implementation period, and it will be longer if that plan should pass. It will be longer until we know actually if that plan has passed. The Connectional Conference Plan creates a whole different structure for the church than what we're familiar with. What the Connectional Conference Plan does is it creates a general conference which would hold all those things that we across the theological spectrum of the United Methodist Church, all those things that we can agree upon. So things like the Articles of Religion, things like Wesley's sermons, things like the Apostles' Creed and the Nicene Creed. So you hear already in that the common book of discipline at the general church level becomes much thinner. It doesn't deal with social justice issues or issues upon which there are a variety of conversations and thoughts and perspectives. The Connectional Conference maintains a general conference and maintains a council of bishops. However, the General Conference becomes a place where instead of a lot of legislation and decision and discernment, the General Conference would become more of a motivational, inspirational, study, empowering, equipping kind of gathering, and the Council of Bishops would give leadership to that kind of a General Conference. So where does the kind of authority lie and responsibility lie in the Connectional Conference Plan? Well, underneath this General Conference, there would then be developed connectional conferences. This plan does away with the United States Jurisdictional Conferences and develops at least 3 connectional conferences according to theological perspectives, more traditional connectional conference, a more centrist connectional conference, a more progressive connectional conference. And that is very different because our current jurisdictional conferences are developed by geographical boundaries, not theological differences and perspectives. So in these connectional conferences, they would all have the same common core of a discipline that is agreed to by the General Conference, but then these connectional conferences would begin to develop their own books of discipline with a common core. And that means that these connectional conferences could then restructure themselves in terms of what the local church does and what annual conferences do and what boards and agencies will or will not be a part of each connectional conference. This particular, as you're hearing, this particular plan involves votes. So if we are now defining ourselves by theological perspectives, clergy persons would have to make a decision, a determination on which connectional conference they would like to be aligned with. Jurisdictions would have to make determinations around which connectional conference they want to be aligned with. If a jurisdiction makes a decision and takes a vote on aligning with a particular connectional conference, and an annual conference within that jurisdiction does not agree with the jurisdictional vote, then that annual conference then votes on where they want to be aligned. If a local congregation doesn't agree with an annual conference's decision on where to be aligned, then a local congregation can take a vote on where they would be aligned. And it's the same with bishops. Bishops would have to make decisions around which connectional conference with which to be aligned. So that's what happens in kind of the United States setting. But it also, this plan has implications for the central conferences. We would lose the central conference name, and our conferences around the world would become central conferences. So we would have the ability or the potential in this particular plan to have central conferences within and without the United States. Can a central conference choose to align with one of the U.S. theologically defined connectional conferences? The answer at this point is yes, and then instead of being a U.S. connectional conference, it would become a global connectional conference. So in this, in the Connectional Conference plan, it does involve votes. It would involve constitutional amendments. It would involve a restructuring of general conference teams, boards, and agencies. It would be a very different kind of look for the United Methodist Church. However, it fulfills our vision, mission, and scope once again by maintaining unity through our structure in a very different way, but also valuing and respecting the theological diversity within the United Methodist Church by creating connectional conferences which would allow people to be in communion with, in conference with those persons with whom they agree on different theological perspectives and practice. So that is a short summary of the Connectional Conference Plan.